back again. The last bead that I've got planned for this session is using silver foil or silver leaf to create a completely different look on the beads, to create reactions within the beads. So I've got some silver leaf, a bit scrunched up. This is quite fine leaf, which is why I've got quite a lot in there. If you're using foil, I'd suggest that you cut strips up, just so that it's a bit more economical for you, because it's expensive. And the other thing that I've got here is that little bit of frit from Trudy Doherty at Glitter and Prize. You're only going to need a tiny bit of frit. The less frit that you use on this one, probably the better effect you're going to get. You can overload them with frit and lose some of the pattern and design on it. So literally, I'm hoping you can see this. Sprinkle a little bit of frit onto a marver or whatever you've got, literally a tiny bit, and just spread it out, and that's more than enough for one bead. And I'm actually going to make this time off the end of the mandrel, but I brought an actual bead in for you so you can see the reaction. And it looks a lovely yellowy gold colour, but that actually started as a angel pink base. So the glass that I've got is a rod of angel pink Ephectra. Let's hope this is not too cold to light. It is warmer here today, but still not particularly warm. I think we're on about 12 degrees. So, and I'm still sporting COVID hair, in case you missed that. And I've got a hairdresser appointment booked for Tuesday, so we'll probably go into another lockdown before then, which is what happened on the 2 previous appointments. This is a 1.6mm mandrel, and I'm just going to heat the end because I'm working off the end of the rod this time, just so you can see some different techniques. Because this rod, this mandrel is thinner, you need to be more aware of how much heat it's getting actually in the flame, because it is easy enough to melt through these smaller mandrels. So I'm just heating my rod up. And I'm starting about ½ inch from the tip. And again, make a little spacer because it just helps to keep the end of your work tidy, so that it's easier to set. If you can get used to this working off the end of the mandrel, you can make things like doorknobs, because they're worked off threaded mandrels off the end, so they're quite good fun. And you're making a barrel now that's coming down over the end of the mandrel. Shape it up a little bit as you're going. It's easier to do that as you're going along. And I'm literally just putting a little bit of heat into the glass, and then just gently touching it to my torchtop marver. If you haven't got a torchtop marver, any marver, or as I said before, I've even used my worktop before now. Now I'm covering the actual end of this mandrel now. So I'm coming right over the end, and I'm starting to add some thickness into the glass to alter the shape of the finished product. What I'm making is actually going to be a dropper pendant, so I'll set it with a peg bail. And if anybody needs information on where to get them, feel free to message me, but you can just do an internet, so Google search for peg bail for half drilled beads, and it'll bring you up quite a nice selection. I tend to use stainless steel settings here because dealing with French customs and excise for sterling or silver plated is actually really challenging with the amount of detail we want. And I've just realised I haven't put my filter on, but I don't want to stop, so I'm hoping you can see enough of what I'm doing. But I will stop because you get a better view, so give me a second. You can see better now. I haven't covered the whole screen, so just give me a minute to warm this back up and I'll do it again. There we are. So you can see that I'm creating sort of a teardrop shape in a minute. If you wanted to make a draw knob, can you see the end here? If you keep that quite small and just keep adding glass on this piece, you get quite a nice shape of a doorknob, but that's not the shape that I want today, so let's add some more glass. It's really nice to see the different colours and the different reactions that you get using different base colours with silver foil and different frits. Some frits are absolutely stunning, but you need to try them. It's about kissing frogs to get to the prince type of thing. You need to experiment and see the results. So if you're going to experiment, try small beads, try making little spaces with a tiny bit of silver, and then cooling them in the vermiculite or annealing bubbles rather than put them in the kiln and wait for hours. If you've made it small enough, you can cool it in vermiculite and just check the colours. Just remember not to use it or not to try and sell it unless you batch anneal it later. Just turn this torch up a little bit. I don't know what's happening in the world in terms of COVID at the minute. We're heading towards another lockdown here. The numbers are not falling, and then of course there's this huge row over deliveries of vaccines. We've had letters from the mayor about getting vaccines, but when you try and book, you can't actually book anything. There's nothing available because there's no vaccines available at the minute. So we, luckily here, we've got plenty of space, so we've got lots of outdoor space. It's the people that are in flats and have got very little outdoor space that I really feel sorry for. So we're getting close to how big I want this. But you add as much or as little glass as you want. And it might be better to start smaller in the beginning because you're working off the end of the mandrel, so it requires more control. So I'm going to heat this up well now, and then I'm going to reshape it a little bit using the heat. So I'm not going to put shapers on this. So at the minute it's still quite blobby. And I've still got a defined line here. Well, I don't want that. I want to lose that. But I'd really like to try and keep the shape as well. So it is a case of taking your time. taking it out of the flame before you lose control of the glass, and just being quite gentle with it. And pink is quite a soft glass, so you always need to be aware that you could lose that quite quickly. It's another one like white. White is soft as well, and they're much easier to lose control of, especially when you're first learning things. So it's just really a case of taking your time. It's getting to be more the shape I want. So it is here literally a case of heat a little bit, let gravity do its job, and put it back in until you get what you want. And it's better to get this shape in right now before you start any decorating. There we go, that's it. That's what I want. We'll leave that cool back down a little bit so it sets up nicely. You don't want it drooping when it goes into the silver. So the next thing is pick up some of that silver, and burnish it off. You want to just gently burnish off that silver. This tool is quite useful, I think. It's some sort of cake making tool, but it's got a slight curve on it, which is really useful for going around angles on beads because they're curved, obviously. So heat this back up now, and you'll see the silver disappearing. Trying here to just heat the surface. I don't want to lose the shape of this. There we go, so that silver is completely melted, so now I need to heat a bit more because now I need to pick up some frit. Melting the frit right in because I want it to split and spread. If you start losing the shape of your bead, just heat it and spend a little time getting it right again before you carry on. There we go. Can you see that this tiny bit of frit is spreading out across the surface? So the frit has changed colour and the bead has changed colour, and the bead at the minute is very yellowy. In and out gently, and it will start going more golden. This frit from Trudy looks to be all transparent, but I'd need to check with her, or she might have some detail on her website whether it's transparent and opaques. It's really pretty colours, and it works really well in this sort of technique. Set, I'm going to turn my flame and I'm going to add a bit more gas just for a second. There we go. I'll take a photograph of this when it comes out of the kiln because it's lovely, but you're pretty much done there. and I don't know if you can see the colours starting to come through on the frit as it cools. But I'm popping this in the kiln and we'll be back with a photograph.